Raiders Derek Carr agreed to a 3-year, $121.5 million extension. Okay, let me hold a dollar, please. Is Derek Carr deserving of this money? Zach, I'll lob that question right up to you.
Yeah, well, when I saw this news, I'm not going to lie, I was just really happy for Derek Carr because this is just a player that has been through so much over the course of his career in Oakland and in Vegas. And I'll give you guys a stat that really blew my mind to start this off. Derek Carr is currently the longest tenured quarterback in the AFC. He was drafted in 2014. That's not that long ago, in the same draft as Johnny Manziel and Jadeveon Clowney in that draft. And he has stayed with the Raiders throughout his career. And I understand he's not perfect, right? I don't think anyone is going to sit here and say Derek Carr is an elite quarterback. But based on the quarterback market and how it is today, this is a guy that really brought the Raiders to the playoffs when they had no business making it last year. And I understand he has a long way to go in terms of winning in the playoffs. Obviously, the AFC is loaded. But one thing I know about Derek Carr is that he's just a true professional that is always going to bring his A game and come ready to play. And I do think that with the Raiders and their new situation, like, they brought in a lot of talent. We don't really know what the future holds just yet, but I do think the talent that this Raider team has now is better than really at any point so far in Derek Carr's Raiders career. I mean, Derek Carr, people forget this, his rookie year, he started the first 9 or 10 games and lost all of them. The Raiders were a disgrace in 2015, 2016, and then he has the big MVP year. Unfortunately, he gets injured, and he's kind of been hovering to get back to that elite mark since then. But I do think Derek Carr is one of the 10 or 12 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and when you're in that position, you're worth that money based on today's quarterback market. So props to the Raiders, props to Derek Carr. I know we had a brief conversation a couple weeks ago that when you looked at the state of the AFC West, should the Raiders trade Derek Carr? And then they got Davante Adams, which signaled, okay, they're all in. So I like the move for the Raiders. I do. I think it's an appropriate price.
I mean, for me to answer this question, I don't really think my opinion matters. Is Derek Carr deserving of this contract or not? I don't think that matters. I think what matters is the quarterback market. That's basically what it comes down to. When you have a good quarterback, and I would put Derek Carr in that category as being a good quarterback. Elite, not there yet. Good, yes, you can give him that label. And I think how you classify good is 10 through 14, 10 through 15. I think that's good. That's solid, or 7. After you get to the 8 and the 9s and the 10s, then you're good. In the mixture of elite, and then you get your 10s through 15. And I think if I had to just throw Derek Carr without literally going through the list of 10 quarterbacks ahead of Derek Carr, I will put him in that 11 through 14 range, right in that little echelon right there, which classify him as good. But the quarterback market allows good to get played like elite. That's how it's set up. So if you have a 11 through 14 quarterback in today's NFL, they're going to get paid like a top 7 quarterback. And that's exactly, when you look at the logistics and the statistics of this deal, that really is the case here with Derek Carr. When you talk about a 40.5 average per year ranking, which is 5th among all quarterbacks in annual salary. You're also talking about $24.9 million fully guaranteed. And, he's a solid quarterback, bro. He's clutch. That's one thing I can say about him. You can always count on him in the fourth quarter to lead his drive and to lead his team. When I looked at this season last year, this debacle and circus of a season it was for the Raiders, right? When you talk about the coach getting fired, when you talk about right now Henry Ruggs writing letters from the jail cell. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now with this Raiders team, and Derek Carr has been the consistent group out of the bunch. When you talk about 4,804 yards, along with no number 1 wide receiver in the team, on the team, should I say, especially with Henry Ruggs when he got into that incident. So you think about everything, you think about the ups and downs, right? And not a lot of ups. I mean, when you talk about ups and downs, not a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Derek Carr has remained consistent with his numbers. He has remained loyal to this franchise. And I'm not mad that he got the bag ultimately at the end of the day, because it's not my choice to make. It's the quarterback market. And as I previously stated, when we talk about Deshaun Watson and him, having these 22 allegations and just being an overall leader is the new leverage now when talking about contract extensions, even though we always looked at character as a metric for, paying your quarterback top dollar. But now more so, you see that as leverage, as I hinted at it, character. Now, maybe character is a big thing now because of Deshaun Watson.
I mean, it's always been really, like, when you're, think about it, when you're giving someone that amount of money, like, you have to basically make sure it's a sure thing. Like, you don't want them getting into trouble. Like, that's a lot of money. You're literally making them the face of your team.
But even more so, they can use that as leverage now. Like, yo, my man, this dude right here got 22 allegations of sexual assault, and he got $230 million guaranteed. I ain't never stepped on nobody's toe in my life, bro. Okay, I ain't never did nothing like that either. Something as little as that, I ain't even did it. I've been a model citizen, and guess what? I'm good at football. Give me my money. I'm not taking nothing less. I think now quarterbacks had that type of leverage. And who is the ultimate leader other than Derek Carr? A guy who is a team-first guy, a guy that loves this franchise. He used that leadership as leverage along with his play, and that's why he's paid today.
Yeah, and I really do think that last year, just as a whole, like, just from a total perspective, I was so impressed by the way Carr just responded to adversity. If you remember, the first game of the Raiders season was that crazy Monday night game against the Ravens where he throws that, like, tipped ball in the end zone. I believe there are a couple bad calls in that game, and somehow the Raiders find a way to win. And the roller coaster of the season they experienced, I mean, Will, they had no business beating the Chargers in that Week 18 game and making the playoffs. Like, it was very impressive, and I understand that, you know, we have our thoughts about Coach Rich Bisaccia and how he should probably still be the leader right now. But the bottom line is Mark Davis, you know, he moved the Raiders to Vegas for a reason, to get them that big name, to get them all of the money, to get them spending like a big market team, and to really be a premier destination where players want to go to. And not going to lie, like, I'm just looking at the foundation of this squad, right? We don't know what Josh McDaniels is going to be as a head coach the second go-around. Hopefully, at worst, he's going to be better than the first time in Denver. But the Raiders building their team around guys like Derek Carr and Davante Adams, and they paid Max Crosby, and they bring in Chandler Jones. Like, these are good players that when I look at, okay, how am I evaluating a team and their potential? Like, if you have good blue-chip five-star players, like, that's how you're going to win games. And I look at those 4 players for the Raiders, and that's a pretty good start. And one other thing, like, Gruden was a problem, we get it. But also Mike Mayock, he got fired because no matter whose fault it was, the Raiders were just not good at drafting in the first round. They were able to find talent late in the draft, but drafting a guy like Clelin Ferrell in the top 5 was a pick that was never going to work out. The kid they drafted this past year, Leatherwood from Alabama, he was not good, and they could have gotten him 10 to 15 picks later. So I do think, like, we don't know what Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler are going to be yet, but Gruden and Mayock were far from perfect, and Carr was able to right the ship and get this team to the playoffs one year. So I think the situation is much better for him, which is a good sign for Raider fans.
And you talk about the addition of Davante Adams. You're talking about the best wide receiver in the NFL right here. And this guy is already putting up 4,000 yards with no number 1 wide receiver. I honestly feel that Derek Carr can eclipse that. I think he could touch 5,000 yards with the addition of Davante Adams because of just the openness of the football field. With Davante Adams being there, everybody's looking at it like, oh, that connection, this and that. Yes, that connection. All right, it's like riding a bicycle. It's going to be there. But at the same time, just Davante Adams' presence alone and what that does for the other guys. Forget about Davante Adams for a second. But the other guys, because of all the gravity that he pulls and just to open up the football field in the slot for a guy like Hunter Renfrow. And you also got Darren Waller, who a lot of people is used to double teaming him. Well, guess what? You can't do that no more because you're going to leave my man's over here one-on-one, which is the best wide receiver in the league, and Davante Adams. So I think when you factor all that, you factor the talent, you know you got your guy over there in Davante Adams. You paid a dude. They did. And, you know, was it a little bit pricey? Yes. But like I said, the quarterback market allowed it to be that way. And another thing that I'll say right here about Mr. Josh McDaniels, I'm interested to see how he coaches this year. You know, I know he's capable with the X's and O's. I'm not a warrior about that when it comes to his game. I already know he knows the game of football, but it's about the leadership. Can he present that to a team that you look at their track record? I mean, you need a leader in that room. You need a leader in that building, in that city. So, you know, but he's spending. You know, look at Bill Belichick. a guy the Patriot way. They cut guys. They don't want to pay dudes. They don't want to pay nobody. And yet he leaves that organization and he goes and he's spending big money, paying top dollar for a wide receiver. Overpaying, some would argue, for Derek Carr, but some people like the pay for Derek Carr. Either way, he's spending money, and I think you hinted at it. When you are in a big market franchise, that's exactly what they expect you to do. That's why the Rams do what they do. They pay big money. They go after the marquee free agents because they in LA, SoFi. You know, they have
They
to
build a
operate.
badass stadium. Yeah, the Raiders too.
Badass stadium. I mean, come on. I still want to touch that stadium one of these days. I mean, you look at that and you look at the fact that they operate like a big marquee franchise that they are, like an expensive franchise. And that's what the Raiders are. And they are operating like that. But it's not only these Raiders and the Rams, but it's the other teams in the NFL, you know, as well, that's trying to piece it up together. The Browns, even though they're a low market franchise, they are still trying to operate like a big franchise with the acquisitions of Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson. I don't even think they've done yet added to that roster. Stay tuned for that. So I think if you're Josh McDaniels, you prove to everybody that you don't have to follow in your master's footsteps. You know, you could learn and grow and do your own thing, and let's see what his own thing is on the football.
Can You Dig It Sports Radio Network is here. Revolutionize the game of media. Be a dig.